Empty set, 3 to the right, 2 to the left. Nix drops back, throws a ball to the end zone. The pass is caught, and that is a Denver touchdown. Troy Franklin with the catch at the goal line, and he had Eric Stokes on his back. Stokes made the tackle, but Franklin had the ball and a touchdown.
That was Dave Logan on KOA. That was the only Denver Broncos touchdown of the night. That was the last time we saw anyone in the end zone in this game. A 10-7 victory by the Denver Broncos over the Las Vegas Raiders. Nick, when I asked you before the season to do every Monday night game recap with me, every Thursday night game recap with me, I never promised that they would all be beautiful. And I submit there will not be an uglier primetime game than this all season, or maybe for many seasons. There are some games that are ugly and fun, and this one by the end was just ugly.
It makes me think about that Colts-Broncos game that was a Thursday nighter a few years ago. That was also just about as ugly as this one.
But that one had like a sense of like, we're all having a good time by the end because it's so
with
bad.
The fact that it was that bad. Yeah,
and
this one not so much.
Was just like,
and you know what, to that point, so my youngest sister lives with me, and she made some incredible banana bread today. And to feel something again before getting on the show, I just took a big chunk of banana bread and housed it before I came in here to do the show.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your sister. I want some of that banana bread. And we're still going to break this down, but we're also going to break down the entire league, where we made our first power rankings of the year, me and you, a little bit of a power poll where we averaged our rankings together. And the Broncos, might have to move down a couple spots despite winning tonight's game. So, we'll give this game all the time it deserves, maybe a little less than most Thursday nights. And then we'll do some of the power rankings. My takeaway here in a game that had 22 penalties, split evenly, 11 each, 15 punts, and just incredibly long stretches of offensive incompetency, especially, in the second half of this game, was that this Broncos offense, like, I know they won the game. We usually talk positive about, we'll talk about the defense and how good they look. That we know they're great. Like, their troubles are not going away. Bo Nix threw an unforgivable interception late in this game. They never got it even going in the fourth quarter. The reason they won is because their defense kept setting them up with short fields. They eventually got a little bit of a running game going, but my God, their passing game against a defense that has struggled all season was kind of my biggest takeaway, because this is an 8-2 team leading the AFC West with a chance to get the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and it's another example of what this team has been for, months. Not month, but months at this point. They are a team that looks as if they are sleepwalking offensively almost every week, and their story has been they turn it on in the fourth quarter and come back and win games. And frankly, tonight was setting up to be that if Daniel Carlson makes the game-tying field goal, which he missed. We were going to have to see them put the foot down on the pedal again and see if they could pull another one out of thin air. Instead, luckily, because the Raiders missed their field goal, the Broncos simply had to salt it away. I will give them a little bit of credit. Before that touchdown pass that we heard to start the show, yes, Bo Nix did have a handful of really good throws where he stepped up in the pocket, he extended the play, and he's got guys 10, 15 yards downfield that he's hitting accurately. Other than that, nightmare. They didn't run the ball effectively in the first half. They decided to commit to it in the second half, and it helped a little bit. It helped them put the game away as well. But it is a team that lacks an identity, has talent, has an ability to move the football at times, but lacks an identity, so it takes them forever to get going. And we were left with this same thing. I described Bo Nix recently as a firecracker quarterback because he's silent, and it's just like lighting a pack of firecrackers. Everything's quiet. The fuse is lit, might hear the fuse, and then pop, 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 pop. That's how he's been in almost every game. Tonight, he wasn't even really that, except for when they scored that touchdown.
Yeah, that was one drive. It was late in the second quarter. It was the best field position that they had until the second half, where they blew a couple really short fields, but they started at their own 47, and they drove down. And you're right. He's made a few plays where he steps up in the pocket and sees open lanes and hits a pass, but he missed so many of those tonight. And they had a crazy amount of drives in this game, 13 drives. So like, that game should have ended at, usually you get about 10 drives in a game, and they had 7 points at one point. And there was a stretch where through 11 drives, which is more than a game, a normal game where they had 8 3-and-outs out of those 7 drives and an interception in those 8 drives, another very short drive, and then the touchdown drive that we just talked about. And then on top of it, like if you want to extend it out to 12 drives, it was that groaner of an interception in the fourth quarter. So that's a 12 drive sequence with just total struggle fest. And there wasn't a lot of pressure on him. I mean, there was at times, but I looked and there wasn't much quick pressure. Max Crosby was generally taken care of tonight by their pass rush. So one play really stands out to me where Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast is like, Bo Nix not feeling very settled in the pocket. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But it was a 3-man rush against a 5-man protection with absolutely no one there. And then he just like throws it away on a third down. That was at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And yeah, I appreciated them, if nothing else, running the clock out at the end of the game with some good J.K. Dobbins runs. And if nothing else, that got us to the end of the game quicker.
Yeah, there was one inexplicable miss of a running lane by J.K. Dobbins in that sequence where you see it on Prime Vision from over the top. You're like, the lane is there, and he just tries to swerve right around it. Otherwise, they put the game away. But you're absolutely right. I mean, this offense had no rhythm the entire night. This game was really won by their defense and their defense's ability to completely eliminate Brock Bowers from the equation for the Raiders. They dedicated defensive backs to him all game. There were multiple instances in which the Raiders are running play action, trying to slip Bowers out into the flat. There's 2 DBs right there covering him. Geno looks to him first, has to go somewhere else. So this defense won this game. They won it by not really blitzing that much, but getting semi-consistent pressure. Doesn't really show up in the numbers, but shows up visually. And it's not really like their hallmark. Like, they have a good defense. We know that. But when you think about the Broncos, you don't think like great defensive team, they win with defense. You think of them as a team that has a good defense and then just happens to find enough success offensively. And it felt like a diet version of that tonight.
An extreme version, I would say. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up something positive here. So yeah, let's give Nick Bonito his flowers. 8 or 9 QB pressures, 6 quick pressures, 2 sacks. I think they'll count it officially as 1.5. I don't believe in half sacks. Another couple quarterback hits on the day. Zach Allen with 3 quarterback hits and a sack. And the Raiders start out this game with a really good touchdown drive. And the image I remember it best is on the score. Jackson Powers Johnson, their guard, blocking Nick Bonito out of the play, and Ashton Jeanty running through a tackle by Hufanga. And I'm thinking, okay, we're live. This is going to be an interesting game. And that was like the last we saw anything of that. And partly because Jackson Powers Johnson left this game, and that left their left side, which has been missing Colton Miller, thin all night. What the hell? Let's listen to the one Raiders touchdown, because we really aren't going to have any other highlights.
Timeout. Geno's clapping his hands on 3rd and short. Inside handoff. Jeanty inside the 5. First down to the goal line. Touchdown Raiders! Ashton Jeanty on the inside handoff. A 6-yard run. Deuces in the end zone.
Oh, Ashton Jeanty started this game great, and then he ended the game with 3.2 yards per carry. I was watching part of the game with Maurice Jones-Drew. He thinks Jeanty misses some holes. You were talking about not having like the greatest vision. He thinks he missed some tonight, but after really that first drive or two, the Broncos dominated in a way that you just rarely see. There was a sequence, and while the Broncos were doing all those 3-and-outs that I just mentioned, there was an 8-drive sequence by the Raiders where they had a total of 10 yards. I mean, that's crazy. A total of 10 yards. A 4-play turnover on downs, 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3 end of half, 3-and-out, 1-play interception, 3 and a block punt, and then another 3-and-out. That's wild in an NFL game that we all watched and we were paid for.
Yeah, we were. Thank you. I will say that Jackson Powers Johnson, supposedly going to be coming in to be the center. He loses the center job. He ends up being a guard. He is kind of in the mold of Richie Incognito, although he's taller, but he looks like him physically. And the way that he moves and blocks is kind of similar, which is funny because Incognito, end of his career, he was a Raider as well. But once they lost him, the right side of their offensive line was just consistently bad. You see him pulling from right to left there on that touchdown run. After that, DJ Glaze is getting beaten consistently in one-on-ones by Nick Bonito. The right guard that replaces Jackson Powers Johnson getting beaten consistently in one-on-ones to where Geno never has any time to survey the field, and that's before he gets banged up. This offense had no life. We've talked all year about how Jeanty is consistently getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. Watch it on Prime Vision tonight from above. It's the same thing. He's getting hit a yard, half a yard, yard and a half behind the line of scrimmage. He's got nowhere to run. This Raiders offense, if it's not dead, it's basically on life support right now. Like they just can't do anything.
Their leading receiver tonight was Tyler Lockett, by far 5 for 44. You know, Bowers has one good catch where he's singled up on Jahdae Barron in the first half, and that drive, I believe, ended either in the turnover on downs or one of the 3 punts that the Raiders had in Broncos territory. I don't know how they pulled that off. They also had the missed field goal that you mentioned when Geno did get some passes going in the second half, their only sign of life, and then they settle for the field goal attempt, and he missed it. And Geno is struggling in general. He definitely missed a few throws tonight. He held on to the ball a little bit, but he had basically no chance. And the offensive line you're talking about is Stone Forsythe at left tackle. Is it Dylan Putnam at left guard? Jordan Meredith, Alex Kappa, and DJ Glaze on the right side. So that's 3 replacements, and then one of the starters, Glaze, just getting killed. It's rough going for my guy. I don't think he had much of a chance, but there's just there's not much more you can say, I think, about this Raiders offense. Maybe not of this game, unless you have anything more you really want to get to here.
Tip of the cap to Geno for trying to gut out the injury that he was dealing with. It was pretty clear he was limited by it. He gets hit after scrambling. He basically gets tripped up by Nick Bonito. You're going to see it if you're watching on YouTube. And then Malcolm Roach falls on him. And I believe that's where it happened, because he starts grabbing his left leg and he continues to grab his left leg. Kaylee Hartung later reported it was a left quad injury. So if you see the replay, again, if you're watching on YouTube, Geno stumbles to the ground and then Roach falls in. And the replay view from behind, which I'm not sure we're going to get here, we don't get there. You could see the impact on his leg. His knee kind of goes inward. At first, I thought it might be a knee issue. It ends up being a quad. Either way, it was a significant hurdle for him physically, and ultimately, I think it limited him in key spots. But you got to give him credit for trying to gut it out.
Yeah, he had a dime to Dante Thornton in the first half, which could have been caught and just completely dropped. Probably his best throw of the night by far. He had a touchdown taken off the board by a that was a Dante Thornton penalty, rather, on an offensive pass interference where I think the play call would have worked. It obviously was.
I don't think that defender's going to actually cover that ground, even if he doesn't hit him. I don't think he gets there.
It was absolutely the right call. Don't get me wrong, because he went out of his way to hit the guy. It was just too easy. And that took 7 points off the board, too. And then he had a sequence where Raheem Mostert had a blown assignment trying to protect him against the blitz, and he just starts yelling at Mostert. There was a moment where I thought it was going to get to like fun ugly, and that was the sequence where the Broncos, who are running it down the Raiders' throats, get to 3rd and 1, and then Sean Payton calls a trick play.
Oh my God.
And they go backward 5 yards.
It was so bad.
And then they come up short on the field goal attempt after that, losing 5 yards on the 3rd and 1. And then the ensuing play is Geno Smith hitting Ashton Genty in the chest, and the ball pops up for an interception. It just was like, okay, now we're having some fun. Then there's a block punt, but it didn't even continue to be fun. It just was ugly.
That missed kick, by the way, is my favorite example of it's the latest example of what my favorite new trend in football is, which is announcers being infatuated by the whole juiced K-ball revolution, and kickers can kick balls a mile now. And Will Lutz lines up for a 59-yarder, no small feat, and Al Michaels is like, he hit these with ease in warm-ups, and Lutz comes up like 8 yards short. I'm just like, yeah, maybe we don't think everybody can hit 60-yarders routinely. Let's be reminded that these are humans.
It was a windy night, we should point out, with some of the offensive struggles. Although, like, inaccurate passes, weirdly, of everything didn't seem like it was the biggest issue in general on the night. Yeah, not everyone's going to be able to hit. Although he did bounce it in, which if you tried to do that 100 times, I don't know if you could. Like, the ball bounced and went over the crossbar. Maybe they should make a new
Doug Flutie drop kick. Remember that back in the day?
That counts. Well, that's a little different. The bounce there starts at the beginning. They started this game, and it's been a really dark day in the NFL. And like I said, we're going to do the power rankings right after this break, but there's no other great place to address this, but everyone listening probably knows right now what a difficult day this has been in the NFL. A lot of people woke up, myself included, to the news that Marshon Neal, the 24-year-old defensive end of the Dallas Cowboys, died on Wednesday night. And the Dallas police, the Texas Department of Safety, said he died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after crashing his vehicle. And more reporting is out there. I'm reading The Athletic right now, and they're reporting from the police. This is all directly from the police. Had a police dispatch where his girlfriend called and said that he was having suicidal thoughts, and said that was going to happen. And there were text messages that he sent, and there's nothing more you can do than just send your heart to everyone that knows Marshon Neal, and of course to his family, and to the Dallas Cowboys, and everyone struggling with mental illness out there. The reporting also indicates that he had been struggling with a history of mental illness, and it's just an insidious thing. It's impacted my family, my life quite a bit, and just rest in peace, Marshon Neal, 24 years old. We'll be back on the other side.